I mentioned earlier that text was one of the other things that you could make motion tweens out of, so let's try out the text tool and then we'll have something more to animate. I'll start, of course, by creating a layer for my text. Always got to keep things organized. We'll click on the buildings layer, choose new layer, and our layer 4 will go right above that. And I'll name this title. And we'll switch over to our text tool. For starters, this text tool is a lot like other text tools you've used. Down in my properties window, I can see the usual things, fonts, colors. So let's change some of the settings here. First of all, the color. I'm going to go for a bright yellow color so that it stands out on our background. I'll switch out the font to something blocky. Now, you can use any font that you have on your system. I'm just going to go for, I think, Arial Black here. And I'll set the font size to something big. Maybe I'll type in 40 for that. I'll hit Enter to make that change. And then we can just go over to our stage with our text tool, click, and start typing. And I'm going to type the word chopper. Let me click away from that so we can see it against the background. And I'll also zoom in so we can see what's going on a little closer. Whenever you just click and start typing like we did, the text box automatically resizes itself to fit whatever text you put inside of it. Alternatively, you can click and drag with the tool to start with and create a text box of a certain size. That way your text can wrap as a normal text box would. Now, what's different about Flash text is actually the different types of text that we can work with up here at the top. Notice we're using classic text, and this is actually the same text object that was used in all the previous versions of Flash. So classic text will work in any Flash player. Alternatively, you could choose the new TLF text format. This is brand new for Flash CS5 and works on the new Flash 10 player. It includes a lot of additional text settings, like leading and tracking, and a lot of paragraph and alignment settings. You can see there's lots of them. Now, this kind of text is good to use when you have several paragraphs and lots of text that you need to string together. Since we only need one word, I'm just going to switch ours right back to the classic text format for now. Even with classic text, you have three different choices: static, dynamic, and input text. Now, input text would only be used for forms, and dynamic text is usually used in conjunction with ActionScript and data. So we're going to stick with static text as well. One particular advantage of static text is that any font you choose, or more specifically, any of the letter shapes that you type with, will automatically be included with the Flash file, so you don't have to worry about the end user having the font in order to be able to see the font that you're using. Now let's make the 4 part of our Chopper 4 logo. I wanted to do them separately because I wanted to animate them both separately. And as we just learned, motion tweens need to have their own layer. So let's create another layer up here above title. We'll just click on our new layer button. I'll call this one Channel. And we'll go ahead and grab our text tool and we'll type a number 4 in there. You can see that the program keeps the same settings you last used, so it's pretty easy when you need to build multiple text fields. I'm going to switch over to my selection tool, and we're going to try something a little bit different because I'd like to make a logo out of this one. Now, first of all, I want to make it a little bit bigger, so while I have the properties here, I'm just going to increase the font size. There, that's kind of nice and big. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to have access to the vector shapes in this font. Now, this is actually pretty easy to do. I'll go up under Modify while I have the 4 selected, and I can choose Break Apart. This is kind of an interesting little command. If you chose Break Apart on top of a group, you would ungroup it. So this is kind of like ungrouping the letter. When we click Break Apart, you can see that what I end up with is a normal vector shape. Now, if I tried to do break apart on a word like chopper with multiple letters in it, the first break apart would give me individual letters, and the second part would give me the shapes like I have here with the number 4. Now, let's see if we can make a logo out of this. I'm going to move over here just a little bit, and I'm going to go up and choose my oval tool. I still have the fill settings that we had from before, and let me go ahead and draw off the stage so that we can work on it a little bit. First, I'm going to make a circle that's a little bit bigger than the 4. And next we're going to make another circle on top of it. Now, here's a good tip. You notice the first time you drew with the oval tool, you draw from corner to corner. But if you hold down the Option key on the Mac or the Alt key on the PC, you can alternatively draw a circle from the center out. And that's much easier if you want to make a circle inside of a circle like we are right now. Now, these 2 circles were drawn in the same layer, in merge mode, so they should have cut each other apart. Let's check and see. I'm going to click on the middle of the circle. Sure enough, I've got 2 fills there. I'm just going to delete that fill, and I don't really need these outlines anymore. I'm going to select the inside outline, and delete it, and then the outside one. Now, I'm going to select that circle that we just made and bring it over towards the 4. Now, just to make things kind of slick, I'll select the 4, and since it's a vector shape, I can resize it. So I'm just going to use my transform tool. I'll scale it up just a little bit so it fits right inside the circle, and move it around so that the edges overlap the circle just a little bit. When I click away, the 4 shape is going to merge with the circle shape, and I'll end up with one nice 4 logo. While we still have it selected, let's prep this for a motion tween. Our other object is still text. And since motion tweens work with text, we've got no problem. But this is no longer text. It's now just a normal vector shape. So let's convert it into a movie clip symbol by pressing F8. Or you can use the Modify menu. Let's give it a name. I'll call it Logo 4. We've already got it set for a movie clip and a center registration, which sounds pretty good. I'm just going to click OK, and we're ready to animate.